Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Court of Common Council's public comment for today's council meeting for December 14th, 2020. My name is Councilman TJ Clark. I am the council majority leader for the Court of Common Council. We are joined by Councilman James Sanchez, Councilman John Gale, Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon, Councilman Joshua Mitchum, Councilwoman Marilyn Rossetti, Councilman Nick LeBron, and Councilwoman Wildelise Bermudez. Thank you for everyone who has called in and tuned in to attend our public comment. We do apologize for the severe technical difficulties that we had encountered. It's 2020 and it is technology, so thank you for your patience. With that being said, we want to move right along. We have been indicated that all the speakers have been notified about their limit of 3 minutes to address the Court of Common Council. And with that being said, our Councilman John Gale will be our timekeeper for today. So if you see his phone or hear his phone and hear the clicking noise, that means that your time has expired. First up on our list is Miss Elaine Hatcher. Is Elaine Hatcher on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Oh, I'm first. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. I just want to say that I really don't understand what is taking so long to have this sign put up for Mrs. Green. Mrs. Green spent 69 years of her life on Brook Street. She came here in 1945, and she stayed in a rooming house. From there, she purchased her own home. She never one time moved off of Brook Street. She bought a family, she bought property in different areas of the city of Hartford. She was a community activist. She belonged to the Democratic Town Committee, both the 1st and the 7th district, because of the redistricting every 10 years. She was instrumental in getting sidewalks installed on her street, because when she first got there were none. And I don't understand why there's this opposition. The committee did everything that they were supposed to do, following the procedures outlined to get this done. And there are a lot of people in the city of Hartford who have signs up for them now that didn't do a third of the things that Mrs. Green did. So I don't understand why we can't just have this sign for Mrs. Green. And one other thing I wanted to know, and it's not about Mrs. Green, but if the warming centers are going to be open on Christmas Day, because we can't have our annual dinners, and I want to make sure that we get the personal hygiene bags to the people if they're going to be in the warming center. So if somebody could get back to me on that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much, and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Hatcher. Next is Hassan Gaston. Is Hassan Gaston on? Hassan Gaston. One more time, Hassan Gaston. Okay, moving on, Christopher Dukes.
Good evening, council folks. First and foremost, thank you all for your service to the city of Hartford. My name is Christopher Dukes. I have been a citizen of Hartford since I became a homeowner 16 years ago. And some of you are aware of my situation where I've never had a negative impact from the city till approximately 2 years ago, actually 2.5 years ago. On April 25th, 2018, I became a victim of the corruption within the Hartford Police Department. Everything I'm about to tell you is completely backed up with facts, and my complaints have been filed. But I want to make sure that the city council is fully aware of what took place. So I'm going to rifle off in this time that I have the facts. On April 25th, 2018, while I was in the emergency room, 2 Hartford police officers, one of the 2 stole $20 out of my wallet. Again, some of this stuff is going to sound far-fetched. However, I do have information backing everything up. Also, that same day, back then, Officer Scott Parker, who is now a member of the Major Crimes Unit, falsified his incident report to secure an arrest. Sergeant Carasone, Michael Carasone, I believe his first name, also falsified a report. Also on that same time, some members of the Hartford Police Department, along with the phony accuser, and this is confirmed by the state lab, fabricated duct tape evidence that was used to falsely arrest me. Moving forward, on May 1st, 2018, Detectives Donovan Thorpe and Michael Hesitant, both of Major Crimes, falsified their warrant that they applied for in Superior Court. That's also confirmed. Fast forward, on March 27, 2019, I personally spoke with Chief Sodi in the presence of, he wasn't the chief yet, but he was going to be in 2 weeks. Spoke with him in front of Lieutenant Lauren Cox and informed him about the corruption, so he was aware. On May 6, 2019, Mayor Bronin was at my home and I made him aware. On May 14, 2019, DNA test results came back confirming that I was innocent and that I was framed. Second set of DNA results came back on October 18, 2019, further confirming that I was framed. No arrest has been made by the individual whose DNA shows up all over that duct tape. All criminal charges were dismissed against me about a month later on November 14, 2019. The public was lied to by the prosecutor that they dropped it to protect the Hartford Police and my accuser of what took place. On September 1st, 2021, I filed my citizen's complaint with the HPD Internal Affairs. As of today, naming 7 officers, detectives, and Chief Sodi for misconduct. As of today, December 14, 2020, there has been no resolution. So my concern is, those of you who are family people, I will now, for the 3rd year, be away from my children for Christmas. I recently was awarded to get my job back, but everyone relied on these false reports and false evidence, and nothing has been done. So the reason why I let you know is that I'm very concerned as a citizen that this can happen to anybody. This is beyond the Deadpool situation. This is a situation where police department have actually engaged in misconduct. Now they've been caught, and they've been working for the last 2 years covering it up. And I think the city council's advice on how to not help proceed. I know how to proceed, but I'm looking for help. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Next on our list is Tanea Taylor. Is Ms. Taylor on the line? Tanea Taylor? Tanea Taylor? One more time, Tanea Taylor. Okay. Next, Stash Millward. Is Stash Millward on the line? Stash Millward. Hello?
Hello?
Mr. Millward? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm calling regarding the 5G installation. I'll just say very quickly, I'm born and raised Hartford, Connecticut, born in the bottom in the 1950s, attended Barnard Brown School. Pretty well aware of a lot of development that has taken place since the 60s up until now. And I see a lot of redundancy in the way development happens in the city of Hartford. And I am adamantly opposed to the 5G and the dangers that have not yet been, disavowed. The 5G usually goes along with the very same kind of process that has happened since the 50s with the redlining in our neighborhoods where they kind of wiped out the entire Windsor Street neighborhood. All of the highway construction has just decimated our community. Constitution Plaza, I could go on and on about all of the different ways that these new things come to Hartford, and it destroys the fabric of the indigenous Hartford community. So I am really adamant about this 5G not having proven that it's healthy for people, particularly in the minority communities in Hartford, where we're often, subjected to experimentation from different industries and telling us what's good for Hartford is, good for America and all that other stuff. So for me, I'm involved with a group, an organization called the Center for Economic and Social Justice, the Greater Hartford Chapter. And a lot of people are not aware of it, but as an organization, you'll probably hear from some other members who are also speaking against this 5G installation. And we would recommend that the council, either by resolution or something, keep that out of the neighborhoods in Hartford until it is proven to be safe and not suggested to be safe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next on our list of speakers is Jennifer Marshall-Neely. Councilwoman Jennifer Marshall-Neely. Jennifer Marshall-Neely. Okay, moving on. Joanna Iovano.
Hi, yes, this is Joanna. I'm here.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm representing citizens opposed to police states. I'm going to read off our list of demands that we had at our rally on Saturday about the Deadpool event. One, we demand an outside investigation into the betting pool, its possible prior occurrence, and the responses of the message recipients. 2, we demand transparency during the investigation, including the public release of all the names. 3, we demand modified duty, which includes no interaction with the public for all involved until the investigation is complete. 4, we demand sanctions for all who received the message and did not report it to supervisors. 5, we demand any recipient who did not immediately report the message be removed permanently from any supervisory duties. 6, we demand an outside audit of Department and Community Relations. 7, we demand that Chief Doty be removed from his position and be replaced through a process that includes public input. 8, we demand a 25% decrease over the next year in HPD funding, with the money being invested instead in preventative programs such as mental health, education, housing, and job creation services. And 9, we demand the creation of trained crisis intervention teams composed of mental health and domestic violence professionals. Those are the 9 demands that we were presenting. I will follow up with an email with that. I would also like to address that possibly if City Council can put in a resolution to speak with the governor about supporting a continuance of the eviction moratorium. It's about to expire December 31st. People are going to be losing their homes, and it would be nice if City Council would come out in support of a extension of the moratorium. And also, Working Family Party members came out for COVID relief. And I would like to see the rest of City Council come out requesting that the governor also release funds for COVID relief. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list, Joyce Pettway.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing this platform. I'm calling on behalf of the Greater Hartford Progressive Democratic Women's Club. We humbly ask the City Council and whatever other commissions who have authority to name the street Pearline Way. This is the item that was spoken about by my sister, Ms. Taylor. I understand that the issue was brought to the City Council the earlier part of 2020. To date, the issue has not been resolved. Whenever there is an activist in the city, whenever there is a leader in the city, there is certainly a servant of those whom they lead. We could not have asked for a better servant than Ms. Pearline. Anyone who takes upon themselves to be active in their community, to make lives better for everyone, should be recognized. We ask that you recognize the street for Pearline Greenway as soon as you can. I understand that there were other streets that passed resolutions in November. However, the documentation was submitted to you earlier, and we cannot understand why the street is not named for Ms. Pearline and named as Pearline Greenway. So we humbly ask, as an organization, that you will name the street Pearline Greenway, and that is Brook Street, as a matter of fact. So thank you for your time, and thanks for having this platform for the public speaking.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on the list is Denise Best.
TJ, this is Scott Lawrence from WebEx. I'm going to ask that when it's time to speak, you press *3 to raise your hand, and then I'll individually unmute you. So if you're ready to speak, you would press *3 when you're called on, and then I'll unmute you.
Scott, is that for the callers or?
That's for the callers, yes.
Oh, okay.
So the callers will press *3 on their phone. So you'll ask for them to speak. They'll press *3, and then I'll unmute them just so we don't get background noise.
Okay, so all callers, please, when you're called upon, just press *3 as Scott indicated. Thank you. Denise Best. Denise Best.
Mr. Chair, I would note that we did get an email indicating that Denise Best might not make it tonight, and she sent written comments.
Thank you, Councilman Gill. All right, duly noted. All council members should have received the email by Ms. Denise Best. Next, Zoe Berg. Is Zoe Berg on?
Please press *3 to raise your hand.
Please press *3 to raise your hand, and our host will unmute you. And just a reminder, if all council colleagues that are not speaking just can keep their mics muted as well to eliminate background noise, that would be great. Zoe Berg. All right, moving on. Savash. Sorry for the mispronunciation. Is Savash on? Savash. One more time, Savash. Okay, next, William Moffat. William Moffat. If William Moffat is on, please press *3, and the host will unmute you. William Moffat.
Let me just see if they're not showing up on with their hands raised. Hold on one second. I don't see him.
Okay, moving along. Leslie Hammond. Is Leslie Hammond on? Leslie Hammond.
*3 to raise your hand. *3.
Please press *3 to raise your hand. Leslie Hammond. Please press star 3 to raise your hand. One more time, Leslie Hammond. Okay, moving on the list. Gabriel Boyd. Gabriel Boyd. Gabriel Boyd is on. Please press star 3. Gabriel Boyd. No Gabriel Boyd. Councilman Mitchum, are you speaking? I can't hear. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I'm getting a message that folks who are on a web app aren't able to press star 3 and raise their hands. So I think we may be missing people who are there but can't tell you that they're there.
I've got a call-in user that's raised their hand right now. So if you're on the web app, you can raise your hand by clicking on your name. You right-click on your name and you can raise your hand. We can unmute you there, but I've got a call-in user here that's raised their hand, so I'm going to mute them now.
Okay.
Call-in user, you're unmuted.
This is Leslie Hammond. Can I speak now?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay, Leslie Hammond from Linden Place. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, a few things. First of all, I'm really glad that you're making some resolutions about internal audit. It desperately needs some diversity. There's been white males on there for a really long time, so bravo about that. I want to address the whole police situation. I have been calling out for authority to resign for many reasons. I also totally go along with Joanna's proposals about having defunding some of the police 25% and having the social worker and other things that we've talked about in the past, which we're still talking about and not taking any action. I had an incident on Saturday that I got a harassing Facebook message from a young man. It was pretty threatening and freaked me out, to tell you the truth. And I found out that he lived in a small town and he did have police connections. I did go to the state police and to the Hartford police. I was very nervous about doing that since I have been calling out to have Sodi resign. But I have to say that I was treated with a lot of respect and dignity and very professional. But I realize that I am a white woman, privileged. I live at the Linden. I'm older and I have a lot of contacts. And I really appreciate the treatment, but it makes me more angry that anybody in this city does not get the same treatment that I was able to get. And I am now going to speak out even more. Some say, well, you got great treatment. You really shouldn't call out the police. I am not calling out the good policemen and women. I know there are many of them. I'm calling out Sodi and his upper command and the bad police that get covered up again and again and again. And I want it to stop. This is way beyond this Deadpool, and you all know it. The fact that something like that is even something that can happen and that people can receive a text and not say something about it, this shows an incredibly toxic, unhealthy, really bad culture. And I know you guys know it, and we have to do something. If it means firing Sodi, that's what we have to do. You know we were against him in the beginning, and this just shows he has lost control of his people. Look at all the lawsuits. Have you looked at, see how many lawsuits there are? And now we have this, attention-grabbing lawyer as some of their lawyers. This is going to be a circus. And you guys are going to be right in the middle of it. So please pay attention and let's start anew with a new police chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, circling back to some of the other folks. Zoe Berg. If Zoe Berg is listening by way of their phone, you can raise your hand.
Star 3 to raise your hand. Star 3.
Star 3 to raise your hand. Zoe Berg. Okay. Savash. If Savash is on, Star 3 to raise your hand. Savash. Moving on again, William Moffat Jr. William Moffat Jr. William Moffat Jr. Star 3 to raise your hand. Okay. Mr. Gabriel Boyd. Gabriel Boyd. Gabriel Boyd, if you're on, Star 3 to raise your hand. Okay, Mr. Ronnie Walker. Is Ronnie Walker on? Ronnie Walker. Star 3 to raise your hand. Ronnie Walker. Gladys Moreno. Is Gladys Moreno on? Gladys Moreno. Star 3 to raise your hand. Gladys Moreno. Edward Andrews. Edward Andrews. Edward Andrews. Star 3 to raise your hand.
TJ, if you want to go back to unmuting everyone, I could unmute everyone and we can go that way if you're afraid we're missing people.
Yeah, just to be safe.
All right, there's just a lot of background noise. So everyone, I'm going to unmute your lines. You're going to have to mute your lines again. You're all coming off of mute right now, so mute your phones if you're not going to talk. Everyone's unmuted.
Gabriel Boyd. Gabriel Boyd. Okay. Ronnie Walker. Ronnie Walker.
Everyone again.
There you go.
Gladys Moreno. Gladys
Star 3
Moreno.
to raise your hand.
Star 3 to raise your hand. Gladys Moreno. Edward Andrews. Edward Andrews. Edward Andrews. Eric Coleman. Eric Coleman.
Here we got one here.
Okay. Good evening.
I'm here. Eric Coleman is here.
Yes.
So
Good evening, Judge.
Good evening, and thank you, members of council, for the opportunity to speak to you in support of the resolution designating a part of Brook Street as Pearline Green Way. As some of you may be aware, the resolution is stalled in the Public Building and Dedication Committee, and unjustifiably so, in my opinion, because the family and friends of Pearline Green, who initiated this proposal, have followed all of the rules of the Public Building and Dedication Committee. Among those rules was the requirement that 100 or more signatures of Hartford residents be collected on a petition, and 50 of those, well, at least 50 of those 100 signatures had to be of residents of the neighborhood that would be affected. In this case, it was the Clay Hill neighborhood. So while I understand and appreciate that the committee and the council want to be assured that there is sufficient community support for such a proposal, nowhere in the rules as it pertains to renamings in honor of people who are deceased is there a are going to grant to the NRZ what amounts to a veto authority, there are some steps I think that should be taken. First, I think there should be a requirement that the NRZ submit some sort of resolution documenting the action taken by the NRZ if that action is for an unfavorable recommendation. The date of that action should also be indicated. And secondly, I think it should be a requirement that there be a verified list of voting members of that NRZ and indicate the level of participation that those members have engaged in with the NRZ. Otherwise, you run the process of one or two people usurping or hijacking the authority and the status and the standing of the NRZ and the power of the NRZ in a way that might be misleading to the Public Building and Dedication Committee as well as to the Council. Misleading into thinking that, misleading those entities into believing that there is real opposition to a proposal like the resolution designating part of Brook Street as city. Thank you for the opportunity, Council, to express my
Thank you very much, Judge Coleman. Gladys Moreno is on the call. Scott, if you can just mute everybody. I was told that we could not hear her.
If she wants to raise her hand, I can unmute her.
Gladys Moreno, if you can raise your hand by pressing *3.
Or if she has some of her phone number. I don't know if she'd tell you what her phone number is. I might be able to find her in the list. But if I unmute everyone, it's going to do that crazy sound again.
Gladys Moreno. All right. Let's move on to the list. We can go circle back to Gladys once we can retrieve her phone number. Janice Fleming. Janice Fleming. Janice Fleming.
I got her here. Yep. Here we go.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi, Janice Fleming. One, I want to thank you all for giving us this moment to speak. I want to put on record that the Voices of Women of Color did not agree with the death pool. We really support council asking for the resignation. And if that couldn't happen, we're good with a firm discipline because we know it's, beyond just making it that simple. But we cannot continue to have people who are supposed to be public servants to the city with poor who basically is making bets on killing the people. So I would be remiss to not say that. And I'm sure that Denise, our council president, have made her remarks on that. I also want to thank the council for allowing me to engage them this weekend in the matters of Talcott and most recently the issue of what's going on with the fees. I know that there may be concerns and there are issues that need to be addressed. However, I do find it troublesome that, right now during COVID, we are taking action on things that can be harmful to businesses who didn't qualify for the PPE but paid a big part of our taxes. So I want to thank you all for giving me that time to talk about that on behalf of LAD. But I also want to talk about Mrs. Green, and we submitted our letter to the commission from the Voices of Women of Color as well. As you know, we're a non-traditional organization who have built our firm from the kitchen table, very similar to Ms. Perline, and she's one of our mentees who have taught us over the years, who have stayed on the street, that crime has increased and everything, and we would be honored if her name would fly over Brook Street. And so we support that. I want to thank you for revisiting, having a conversation with us, what's going with last parking and Shelbourne on the matters that's on the agenda 6 and 19. And I also want to encourage the council to continue to find ways to strengthen our Hartford Police Department. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next is Alan Lazowski. Alan Lazowski, if you are on, please unmute yourself by pressing star 3.
He's got double audio.
Yes, hi. This is Alan. Thank you, Councilman Clark. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, sir.
Thank you to all the council members for your wonderful service to the city. My name is Alan Lazowski. I'm chairman and CEO of Last Parking, and I'm very proud to say that I was born in Hartford and I live in Hartford, and our home headquarters of our nationwide companies in Hartford, Connecticut. I'm speaking tonight against the ordinance amending Chapter 22, Article 2, Division 5 of the Municipal Code to increase commercial parking garage and lots licensing fees. Firstly, I just have to say that I apologize that I was not made aware of this until today. Otherwise, I would have been part of the discussion much earlier. But you can imagine what this pandemic has done to our businesses, many businesses in Hartford throughout the country. So the timing of this increase is extremely problematic to any business. And the amount that you're contemplating for these increases beyond what they are today is just egregious. Raising fees from $1,000 per year to $30,000, $50,000, or $100,000 per parking lot or garage, it just makes no sense, and it will hurt businesses. It will hurt employment in Hartford, and it will drive more people away. I respectfully request that we postpone this decision, send this back to committee, and have an opportunity to have a robust discussion around this. There's no one that wants to see the city of Hartford be more developed than we do, and we're doing everything possible. And I do have some great suggestions, but this is not the way to approach it. So I appreciate everybody listening to me, and I hope that we can get together in the future to discuss this in greater detail. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody is healthy and safe.
Thank you very much. Next on our list is Benjamin Schlossberg. Benjamin Schlossberg, if you're on, you can unmute yourself by pressing star 3, to be unmuted. Benjamin Schlossberg. Benjamin Schlossberg. Okay, next is David Seek. Is David Seek on? David Seek, if you're on, you can press star 3 to raise your hand and you will be unmuted. David Seek.
Thank you on behalf of Shelbourne, to all the council members, for your dedication to the city. I really won't take much of your time other than to echo what both Alan Lazowski and Janice Fleming said about the matters that are before you, specifically with respect to the changes in the licensing and taxing of parking lots and garages. And instead of repeating what Alan said, I just want to make a couple of points. This is ill-conceived. It's not based on data. If it is based on data, we'd love to see it so we can at least address it. And again, as mentioned, it's not sensitive to what's going on right now in the downtown and in the rest of the city with every single business affected by COVID. We are experiencing numerous companies that are fleeing the city, making permanent decisions, and parking is a big factor, the cost of parking and the unavailability of parking. As you know, the Dono project has fortunately moved forward, but as part of that project, 300 to 400 open air spots will be extinguished with no place to go. The companies that we're trying to bring into the city to make the city more robust, to make the city have a better tax basis, they look at the cost of parking and the inability to find parking as a major factor for walking away. And we think you should look at this and look at the data before making such a serious decision with the consequences that it has. And lastly, part of the legislation, now that we've seen it, addresses garages, which I believe, based on at least some of the public materials made available, is a recent addition. And part of the reason why we understand that the council is taking this up is to encourage development. Look at the history of the city, look at the last 25 years, look at the current cost of development and the ability to build an office building or any other kind of structure. It's non-existent. But specifically, with respect to garages, those garages, which you're now trying to tax again, are taxed very substantially under the real estate taxes. And certainly I don't think anybody in the council would advocate to knock down those garages, which some of them are below buildings, in order to start new developments. Again, you really have to dig into this. We're here to answer questions, and we really would advise and ask respectfully that you look into the data and try to understand what's really going on in the downtown before making decisions like this. Thank you.
TJ, we've got an 860-879 number that has their hand raised. I can unmute that one.
Okay, go right ahead. Thank you.
860-879, user number 9.
This is 860. Hello?
Yep. Gotcha.
Sir.
I'm sorry about that. You called on me, but I couldn't get through. My name is Edward Andrews.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
All right. I want to come along. I just didn't know how to press. I think we have to press *6. But anyway, I'm on this platform just to talk about the people first language, the resolution. How, you know, on calling, whatever you call us when we come home from prison, sometimes it sticks with us. Like, most people would agree that crime is wrong and formerly incarcerated individual wants to accept accountability for their transactions. We get that. But what should not be debatable is the fact that once a person served their time, their liberty should be restored. Yet in most cases, the criminal justice system continues punishing us, formerly incarcerated individual, through aggressive monitoring or what you want to call it, oppressive practices. This is further compounded by stigmatizing and socially isolating us from the population. Our self-respect and our identity is reduced to a lifetime criminal, which forces like a sense of internalized helplessness and hopelessness. So as a formerly incarcerated person, individual, man, I had to reconcile many issues as I tried to adjust to my life after prison. The reintegration process, it was too many roadblocks that prevented myself and others from being able to successfully navigate complex relationships and systems. So by dehumanizing people does not force the positive changes in mindsets or behaviors. And all that I want to do is see how we could create the change we wish to see in our community and in the world by not keep on making us pay for the crime that we already did the time for. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your comments. Scott, if you could unmute
We've got an 860-888 number that raised their hand. Is that potentially it?
Okay, and there's also a phone number with the area code 787.
Okay. Do you want to do the 888 one first?
Yes, please.
860-888, you're unmuted.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. My name is James Jetter. I would like to first thank council for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm calling about the People First resolution. As a returning citizen, when I found out about this resolution, which was extremely recently, I was iffy. I was iffy because, as we all know, and as Mr. Edwards explained very well just now, that returning has been so stigmatized that even after you've completed your sentence, the punishment doesn't stop. And so I questioned what was the purpose of this resolution. But no sooner than I questioned it, I started to think of, well, there's a reason why I can't walk into a store and a store clerk can call me the N-word. You know, we have to have certain community protections that allow people to exist and thrive. The other side of that coin is that it doesn't stop the person in their mind from saying what for feeling how they feel. However, this right here can be the catalyst to transformation in our community. I think that if passed, it can at least start different conversations with employers and with the city on even employment and inclusion from a not small part of their of our city population. I think Hartford, more than many cities, has taken great strides in this from a community standpoint, and I think that it'd be great to see the city take that final push and pass this this piece of legislation. That way, as a city, we take a stance that we're moving forward and that we want all of us to be included in moving forward. I hope that this resolution passes and that it starts to tearing down the barriers for many people. I've had phenomenal success in a city that I'm not from, and I've had great support from the community, from my church. I've been able to find friends and people who call me to help them find employment. And Laz, who had called in, has been a great partner in just hiring people coming straight from the system and taking that initiative as a company. And other institutions in the city have done the same thing. I think it is imperative that the city now takes that next step and stays ahead of the pace of the rest of the state. Thank you for hearing me and giving me this time.
Thank you very much. Next, it is the.
Did you want me to look for that 787 number?
Yes.
Did you have a name with that by any chance?
Yes, Gladys Moreno.
I don't see a 787 number.
Area code 787.
Nope.
Okay. Moving on. Day Muhammad McKnight. Is Day Muhammad McKnight on? Please press *3 to raise your hand and you will be unmuted.
Just unmuted someone.
Hello.
Peace and blessings. Yes, can you hear me?
Peace and blessings, yes.
Yes, I send greetings of peace be unto you to entire city council, the beautiful residents of the city of Hartford, and to the grassroots. All power to the people. Brother Edward Andrews had invited me to participate in a discussion concerning there was a debate or people were having a conversation about language in reference to people who were formerly incarcerated, and they want to pass a resolution or a city ordinance. And I would like to say this is a very sensitive issue. Language is very important. It's definitely a step in the right direction. But unfortunately, we have to ask ourselves, even when the intent is good, a lot of people want to adopt returning citizen for people who return from prison. I would love to be a returning citizen. I was formerly incarcerated myself for a very lengthy amount of time. But I found out, and it was very sobering, that when I got back to the community, I wasn't treated like a citizen. So if we're going to use language like returning citizen, let's also put in the work behind the words to make sure that people are coming home, that they feel like they are returning as a citizen to a country that valued them and treated them like a citizen, to a city, to a state that treated them and valued them like a citizen. So formerly incarcerated is a word that is used. Ex-offender is a word that people don't like. Returning citizen is the new buzzword. But in order for us to be a returning citizen, I think that the city council, people with influence in all the cities, the major cities in Connecticut, not just Hartford, the people who are the grassroots have to get in the ears of the state legislators and ask them to repeal laws that treat us like less than a citizen and make us feel like less than a citizen when we return to the community. One of those laws is the Connecticut General Statutes 18-85B, which when you return from prison, no matter how long you've been in prison, no matter when your crime was committed, up to 20 years after you are released, you are still targeted by a law that's called the cost of incarceration law, where if someone dies in your family, your mother or your father, they leave you something, if you have litigation for an injury and you get a lawsuit, the proceeds can have a lien put on them by the state, the same state that says we're a second chance state, but we never gave people a first opportunity, the same state that says we want to adopt the word returning citizen, but they can put a lien on proceeds and charge you for a cost of incarceration. I think we need to consider the work behind the words before we adopt language. I thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Next on our list is David Mcdonald. David Mcdonald on. Please press 3 so you can raise your hand and you'll be unmuted by our host.
Here we go. Eight 860-805, you're unmuted.
Eliminate.
Hello?
All right, so you can hear me now? All right.
Yes.
You can hear me? Great, okay. Well, good evening, members of Court of Common Council. My name is Dave McDonald, and I'm here today representing a new organization, the Greater Hartford Center for Economic and Social Justice. We are opposed to the installation of 5G towers in any residential area in Hartford. 5G is not a safe technology, and Hartford residents should not be treated as guinea pigs. We believe this is tantamount to environmental racism. The proponents of 5G claim it's safe, but if it's safe, then I'm sure won't mind installing them near their homes first. Many people don't realize that 5G technology is bad for human health. Recent studies have suggested it negatively affects the human microbiome, which has only recently begun to be studied by Western medicine. The human microbiome makes up about 70% of our immune system. And today, with the COVID pandemic, everyone is now aware of why we need a strong immune system. If we install 5G throughout our nation, it will make us more susceptible to the next pandemic of the future. We see COVID raging in low-income areas, along with many other health disparities, often due to past environmental racism. At the Greater Hartford Center for Economic and Social Justice, we believe that to truly address social injustice, such as environmental racism, we must also address economic justice. As long as low-income people are segregated in urban areas, social justice will continue to be elusive. At CESJ, we believe that people should be owners of our economy. For example, a public utility should be owned by the people and will be accountable to the people. the people that earn dividends and would help alleviate poverty as well as reduce income and the wealth gap. But until that fine day, Greater Hartford CEHA supports our residents' health and opposes the installation of 5G towers anywhere near residential areas. Thank you very much for your time and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you very much. Larry Deutsch. Is Larry Deutsch on? Larry Deutsch.
Star 3 to unmute.
Star 3 to unmute yourself. You raise your hand. Larry Deutsch. Okay.
There's 860839 that had their hand raised.
Okay.
I'm going to try that one. 860839. I'm going to unmute you. 860839. You're unmuted.
Hello. Good afternoon. This is Archbishop Burke, and I'm representing Maxine Robinson Lewin of the Greater Hartford NAACP. And tonight I would like to speak about the issue of police officer making bets on the lives or the deaths of Hartford residents. The NAACP criticized such a move, and also we are very concerned with the process that has been taking place. We're concerned with the punishment. We're concerned that the investigation has not been turned over to an outside agency. And we are very concerned that with this atmosphere, residents of the Greater Hartford area will continue to distrust the police department. We look at if a police officer can feel comfortable enough to text such a message in such what he call a joke or a playing, waging $20 over the lives of folks, if he can feel so comfortable to send this out, what else are they doing when they're not texting? What are they saying? How many others have probably deleted text messages? How many have come forward with it? What took them so long? These are all questions that need to be asked. And we're just not confident that it can be dealt with internally. And so we're asking for an outside agency. We also would like to hear a much stronger statement from the mayor of Hartford condemning and putting in place programs that will eliminate this. We're concerned that the chief is there, but more so about the policies that are in place that have been governing the Hartford Police Department for a number of years. These issues are not new. Yes, we might be talking today about the text messages that were sent, and it may have come to light, but there are many, many more issues that are occurring, and many that have occurred over the last few years or decades that have not been dealt with. And so it is the culture that we need to change. It is the culture that need to be revamped. And so we're asking you guys, we're asking you to put something in place that will be effective, that will hold them, and that will demand that they do something better, demand that they change. We're asking for those individuals out there, African Americans and Hispanic, who cannot represent themselves, who need someone to speak on their behalf, who are counting on you to represent them, to do something. And we hope and pray that this can be looked at, and that an outside agency again will come in and look at it. We thank you very much. I hope and pray that the entire Court of Common Council will have a beautiful holiday. Stay safe. Our prayers are with you, but enough is enough, and we've got to do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Archbishop. Scott, can you look for a 860209 number?
Sure. 60.
Meantime, look for an 860-418-7764.
Well, we hear you, Councilman Dr. Deutsch.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do not see one.
Okay. So we all heard the voice of Councilman Deutsch. So Councilman Deutsch, go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you so very much. I'll try to time it and keep it brief. As everyone knows, I've been worried about the low wages and the healthcare conditions for our sanitation workers, who indeed are essential workers, we must say. Those who take care of the sanitation, fix the trucks, and even clean the offices. So I'm sure everyone would agree with that. Certainly every good Democrat would agree and not act like Republicans where people are denied the lifestyle that they need. Sanitation workers have a hard time with current expenses and the high healthcare costs with high deductibles. So therefore, don't we all want to be fair to them by giving them overdue raises in pay? I sent emails about 2 weeks ago with a suggested resolution that called attention to their need for hazard pay and better wages. And many of them would be calling right now, as Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon said before, but some may not have the number. In any case, many of them need a raise so they can bring up their children and families just as well as the rest of us try to do. However, when I sent this, there was almost no reply from most council members who, again, I assume and hope are good Democrats and not acting like those Senate Republicans did and Trump. I hope we're past that as of today. In any case, all comments from constituents, don't you agree they deserve a reply? And it's disappointing or a shame when it doesn't happen. So I would just like to say, let's consider the lowest paid workers in the lowest average department wage for an increase in the budget at any moment, starting to talk about it right now, just before contract negotiations and before City Council makes a budget. So, and of course, there are many more things to say in praise of those who have just called about the need to respect those who have been released from incarceration, and not just citizens, by the way. Of course, it should be anyone who lives in Hartford, not just a technical citizen. In any case, all those comments need to be supported, and with respect from the police and respect from City Council and budgeting to be able to afford support for the essential workers, including our people that work for DPW, our men and women who go out in the cold and are exposed to disease organisms, which again, we hope passes away, but they still need a decent living wage. I thank you so much, and let's continue, and Happy New Year. Everyone wear their masks and stay safe, and do the things that our new president will call upon us to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ronnie Walker. Ronnie Walker, if you're on, press *3 to raise your hand. You'll be unmuted.
860-209 is unmuted.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Thomas, I'm in.
All right, Ronnie, go right ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, as a citizen of Hartford that's been here over 60 years, that I definitely am appalled at what I read and what I saw and what I heard from this. And I think this officer should be terminated based on the fact that he's been there for 16 years and he knows better. And it gives me the impression that this is not the first time this has been done. And I thought it was callous, it was disgusting, and it's appalling to me. And it's very insulting. And we have to demand that the city, that our officers be held to a higher standard, and we should not tolerate this. So, for me, I want to see this officer fired, not reassigned, not whatever else they're talking about doing. He needs to go to send a clear message that this will not be tolerated by the city and the city residents, because anyone that bets on the demise of a citizen of this city does not need to be here. I have no confidence
that he could work anywhere in this community, whether it be north, east, south, or west. And so I'm pushing that we terminate this man and move forward as a city. Because again, if it was West Hartford or some other city, they would demand that he be gone. So that's what I need to say. That's what I want to say. Hello?
Thank you very much for your comments.
All right. You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Yep. Thank you.
Next on our list is Jordan Poland. If Jordan is on the line, please press star 3.
Sec, I got unmuted.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your time tonight. It's great to see everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Jordan Pollan. I am the Executive Director of the Hartford Business Improvement District. We are a 60-block special services district located in the commercial core of downtown Hartford. This afternoon, I read an article in the Hartford Business Journal that provided information about tonight's vote on an ordinance that would significantly raise fees on downtown parking lot operators. I'm here tonight to request that council does not hold this vote tonight. My hope is that council will be able to give individuals and organizations with a vested interest in the development of downtown Hartford the opportunity to thoroughly review the proposed ordinance and respond with their expertise, experience, concerns, or ideas. It's my understanding as well that the City of Hartford and the Hartford Parking Authority have issued an RFP for a parking study that will provide data on this very issue. And that data should be considered when making a decision of this caliber that will have ripple effects through the Central Business District. The Hartford Business Improvement District Board of Commissioners meets tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and I hope to be able to inform them that this vote has been tabled to provide time for further analyzation and discussion. Thank you so very much for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. Brother Kelvin Lovejoy. Brother Lovejoy, if you're on, please press star 3 to raise your hand and you will be unmuted. Brother Lovejoy, are you on?
860-833 is unmuted.
Councilman Thomas, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Brother Lovejoy, go right ahead.
Wonderful, wonderful. I, first of all, want to thank the Honorable Council for allowing me to say a few words. I wasn't exactly sure which hat I was going to put on today and share my 180 seconds with you until I started to think about the condition that we are currently living in here in the city of Hartford with all of the madness that has currently been manifested throughout the city. And then I went and I looked and I found that in 1967, Dr. Martin Luther King was here in Hartford, Connecticut. And that was in March. But it was really the speech that Dr. King made the summer of 1967, of which I wish to avail my words this evening. Dr. King said, 1 million words will be written and spoken to dissect the ghetto outbreaks. But for a perceptive and vivid expression of culpability, I would submit 2 sentences written a century ago by Victor Hugo. Dr. King said, if the soul is left in darkness, sins will be committed. The guilty one is not he who commits the sin, but he who causes the darkness. I now add the updated version. Dr. King continues, the policymakers of the Hartford Society have caused the darkness. They created discrimination. They create the slum. They perpetuate unemployment, ignorance, and poverty. It is incontestable that the Black and brown people have committed crimes here in Hartford, but they are derivative crimes. They are born of the greater crimes of the Hartford Society.
When we as Black and brown people are asked to abide by the law, let us also declare that Hartford does not abide by the laws here in our city. Day in and day out, Hartford violates welfare laws to deprive the poor of their meager allotments. Hartford flagrantly violates building codes and regulations. Her police department makes a mockery of the law, violates the laws of equal unemployment and education and the provisions of civic service. Dr. King concludes that the slums of Hartford are the handiwork of a vicious system of this society, and that the Black and brown people that live here, while we live here, they make them no more than a prisoner makes a prison. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Lovejoy. Angela Harris. Angela Harris is on. Please press *3 to raise your hand, and you will be unmuted. Angela Harris? Angela Harris on?
I've unmuted. It says anonymous.
Angela Harris?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. Angela
Good
Harris
evening.
here. Thank you for this opportunity to speak before you, and I'm hoping that the mayor is also listening. I am saddened to speak to you today, and I understand this is the year of 2020, the year of the pandemic, the year that has been declared systemic racism is a public health crisis. I come representing the North Hartford as the North Hartford NRZ resident liaison for the Health and Wellness Initiative, representing Clay Arsenal, Upper Albany, and the Northeast neighborhoods. I'm appalled and totally disgusted to learn about the Hartford Police Department's death pool. I'm also concerned that the Hartford Police Department spent I don't know how many dollars on consultants to produce a 152-page report regarding their climate study that's published on the city's website, that the mayor released, press release.
Angela, if you're on, we can't hear you any longer.
It appears like the call dropped.
Okay, well, if she calls back, we'll give her back the rest of her time. Moving forward, next on the list, Alyssa Peterson.
She might be back in right here. Let me try this one. Hold on.
Okay.
See if she's there again.
Angela?
Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay.
for whatever reason, disconnected after being on the call for 2 hours waiting to speak. So,
Go right ahead. You can finish the rest of your time.
okay, thank you. And I'm concerned with this climate study that we don't have an action plan that has been published to the citizens of Hartford. The city's operation management, budget, and government accountability committee should be tracking whether any of the 74 recommendations in this 152-page report have been dealt with. Is there a timeline? Who's responsible? Why aren't we having public ComStat meetings in the midst of social and racial injustice and unrest across the nation? Why has the police department gone dark during the pandemic? We should be increasing communication with the citizens of Hartford. You all have the opportunity to speak with us remotely. There's a reason, and we see why now. I'm calling for the U.S. Department of Justice, once the newest administration takes effect in January, and the Connecticut Chief State's Attorney and the Attorney General to investigate the Hartford Police Department, because they cannot police themselves. It's clear that we have loads of very fabulous police officers. I work with them every day. We have great community partnerships throughout the city. But there are some bad apples in the bunch that need to be dealt with, and the mayor needs to take responsibility for his assignment and hold folks accountable. We have a civilian review board that is backlogged with cases. We have a new accountability process yet to be implemented. Meanwhile, you have death pools. It's ridiculous. We have retirement, we have transfers of who knows the number right now, but people are leaving the department in droves. It's a symptom that there's a problem and no one's dealing with it. And if you are silent and you have inaction, you are complicit and part of the problem as well. We just got the updated agenda item for the council for your latest statement, but that's still not enough. The mayor has the ability to take some action, but the council also has the ability to hold the police chief accountable to implementing the recommendations that we paid money for that's being ignored. That was a whole process that was a waste of time if nothing is going to be implemented. And just finally, there are, for the public ComStat, we're tracking crime externally. We need to start tracking internal issues as well for the public to see. You have how many internal affairs investigations open? How many lawsuits against the department because issues can't be resolved internally? Those are some of the things that should be reported on a regular basis, not only the council, but to the residents as well. I ask you to please pay attention to what's going on, because the public has lost confidence in the people that are being hired to protect and serve. And if you all continue to kick the residency requirement agenda item, kick that can down the road, I don't know how many times, that's something that might also be subject for the police department as well. If they lived here, maybe they wouldn't be betting on death if it was somebody that lived up the street from this.
TJ, are you muted?
Sorry. Gladys Moreno, are you still on? Gladys Moreno? Scott, this is the 787 number.
Looking for it. Let's see.
Council members, we have 5 more names to go.
I do not see a 787 number.
Okay, moving on. Status Minosos.
Is here. And unmuted.
I speak tonight on the parking facility license fee proposal on your agenda. My name is Davie Manusis. I am the Vice President of Business Development and Regional Manager for Connecticut operations of Labs Parking. I was born in Hartford. I love the city, and I can remember the days when we used to shop at G Fox and we went to Chuck's before a New England Whalers game. I'm one of those eternal optimists, and I await the day when Al Laz and other business leaders bring professional hockey back to Hartford. But this isn't about the Hartford Whalers. This is about the city, and I fear that this is a regressive and possibly misguided policy for the city. We all know that market forces are what determine whether a project gets on the ground, not an additional tax. And this plan development where underlying demand does not exist. In addition to the relatively high mill rate, 74 plus mill rate, which is probably one of the highest in the nation, this is punitive to property owners, and will have a negative trickle-down effect to not only our parking customers, but also to tenants and small businesses to whom these taxes and fees will be pushed in some form or another, whether additional rate hikes or lease rates. So to put some numbers on this for the benefit of counselors, I've done some math at just one of our parking facilities, and with the addition of the proposed fees that you're discussing, if you add the real estate taxes and these proposed fees together and you break it down on a per space basis, what these combined fees will cost per space is 83% of the market monthly rate that we currently charge. So at this one facility, one of many, we're charging $125 a month. The real estate taxes and the proposed fees on your agenda represent $103 per space. That's 83% of the market rate we're charging to customers. This is enormously high. So I encourage counselors to vote against this plan or to send it back to committee, as Alan Lazowski suggested. It's the wrong plan at the wrong time. And I echo the sentiments of Al Laz and David Schiff and Jordan on this. I thank you for your time and your public service. Have a good night.
Thank you for your comments. Next on the list is Jane Davie. Jane Davie? Is Jane Davie on? If you're on, please press *3 to raise your hand and you'll be unmuted.
All right, 97376. Oh, no, now I gone. 973-769.
All right, let's go. Good evening.
Hello, this is Jane Davie. I want to thank the council for hearing us this evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do. Yes, we hear you.
Okay. I thank you for letting me speak. I just want to reiterate what my colleagues Davie and Alan and David said. We are all very strong supporters of Hartford and seeing the downtown in particular become a more vibrant place. We welcomed an opportunity to have some further discussion where we can present to you the metrics that we see and understand, such as Davie mentioned, or allow you to better understand the amount of property taxes we are already contributing to the city in excess of $1 million in recently purchased parking related assets in the city, so that we can have a better discussion to figure out how we can all collaboratively work together to solve this problem. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much.
You're right.
Next on the list, O'Neill Anderson. O'Neill Anderson. O'Neill Anderson. O'Neill Anderson, if you're on, please press *3 to raise your hand and you'll be unmuted. O'Neill Anderson. O'Neill Anderson. O'Neill Anderson. All right.
There's 860-655. I just unmuted.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, good night. Ladies
Good night.
and gentlemen and the city council, good night. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Go. Wonderful. You have the floor.
Oh yes, I got a few points that I heard you guys a couple of residents talking about developing the city, but there's a lot of illegal dumping is going around in the city, a lot of illegal dumping, and there is no one talking about that. And the next topic again I want to talk about is police. I was stopped by a police officer. He was very disrespectful, and every question he asked, I asked him, so, yes, sir, can I help you? It's all my documents. But he just didn't want to have it. It's like he was having a bad day. But if that's how they was trained at the academy, it's really bad. And like I said, I have 3 sons living in the city. And if this is how I'm thinking about moving out, I have 2 property that I'm paying taxes on here, and it's not safe. It's not safe, and I'm really, really afraid of what is going on with these cops. Only time when I see, when there is a shooting, it's like 100 police cars showed up. But where is the cops? Where are they when there is no shooting? You know, there is no one patrolling the city. You know, and that's a big concern. Once a shooting, it's like 100 police cars showed up. You know, so what is going on with that? That's another big concern you guys need to bring up. And the other point, I'm also city employee, I work for DPW. We really feel left out. And this whole COVID, we've been working. There is no one said anything about I forgot the word, but compensation us for out there. We just feel left out. A few guys, they catch COVID, they got sick, and they back at work. You know, and guys there, they got young kids, they got elderly person home, and like I said, our pays, our medical is nothing there. I'm taking home $350 a week. You know, it's tough. This negotiation is coming up. Please, guys, we can't give you guys nothing. You know, I know you guys gonna use this say it's a COVID time, and we don't have nothing to offer. But like I said, please look into do something for DPW. We underpay sanitation. It's really bad. They deal with every type of hazardous material, and there is nothing. You know, it's really bad. We need some attention over there in DPW. I'm not saying all the department don't need it, but DPW needs some attention. And our pay scale is way under budget. We're really low on our pay scale. So I'm looking forward to hear back from you guys. And I'm always available. I'm a city resident. I'm always here. So please, guys, have a good night, and thank you for giving me this time to speak.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments. Next on the list is Eileen Newman. Eileen Newman? If Eileen is on, please press *3 to raise your hand and you will be unmuted. Eileen?
Okay, unmuting 973-769.
All right. Good evening. Good evening, you're live.
That might have been the last one. It was.
Okay. Eileen, next. If Eileen is not on, Keith Henderson. Keith Henderson. Keith, if you're on, press *3 to raise your hand and you will be unmuted. Keith Henderson. Keith Henderson. Keith Henderson. Okay. Just one more time. Let's call upon Gladys Moreno. Scott, do you see the 787 number?
I'll take another look. I think everyone that still has their hands raised has spoken. Let me.
See anything?
Nope.
All right. So this concludes the public comment portion of our Court of Common Council meeting. For tonight, I want to say thank you to everyone who waited about 2 hours or so online to speak. Thank you for your patience. We do appreciate it. We do value your comments, and we will take everything into consideration. Please continue to watch our council meeting on Public Access TV, Channel 96, or on online. And this does conclude the public comment portion of our Court of Common Council meeting. And we will adjourn this portion and reconvene, actually convene our council meeting in a few minutes. So thank you very much and have a good evening.